Usually on this channel, we keep darkness as our closely held friend and turn the depths of it into a playground for which our night vision superpower affords us the ability to thrive. Tonight is a different story as we venture from the tip of the iceberg, which represents the most common night vision knowledge, all the way down to a different kind of watery, dark depth at the bottom layer of the iceberg, where even our beloved night optic devices would not serve us as anything more than a weight on our heads. These lower levels of the iceberg representing lesser known aspects about night vision and possibly even describing things that you haven't been made aware of unless you're a true enthusiast. First up, we have the sound that you just heard. In everything that is night vision, there are very few disappointments, but some users tend to regard the discovery that real night vision devices don't actually make that sound as one of the few disappointments in this field. It originates from the Splinter Cell video game series and has been used time and time again in various forms of media and entertainment to the point of becoming synonymous with night vision and convincing people that this sound is made every time those iconic green night vision goggles power up. For those that don't know, this is what turning my PVS 14 night vision device on sounds like. I must admit, it's not nearly as exciting, but here, maybe I can fix it real quick. Next on the iceberg, we have the misconception that, well, all night vision is green. I'm not sure why modern video games and media still perpetuate this idea, but no, night vision is not only green and in fact could be any color, but green is very useful considering how well the human brain can detect and distinguish between different shades of green, plus the fact that we can stare at the color green for an extended amount of time without too much fatigue and eye strain. Of course, this is important in everyday use, but especially so when considering the wartime use of night vision to help detect enemies and move friendlies. You'll sometimes hear the green in night vision referred to as green phosphor, which is exactly what actual component in the night vision tube creates the green image. In my opinion, our third iceberg item, which is simply written as old cameras, actually connects with the myth of all night vision being green. I and possibly even you have memories from either using or seeing family use old VHS cameras with a night vision function. For most people, this is probably the most personal experience they've ever had with night vision, and go figure, these devices did record in green when making night vision video. Funnily enough though, some people believe that the night vision world is going full circle because digital night vision has come a very long way since our beloved camcorders of the past. These newer digital units are quickly gaining popularity amongst night vision enthusiasts who want feature-rich and usable night vision at a more affordable price point. Speaking of price points, this next iceberg item describes one of the biggest misconceptions about night vision, which is that it's not expensive. Honestly, the impression that I get from most people who I talk to about night vision is that they've just never considered the cost of night vision, but when I tell them how much it can cost, they almost unanimously describe the price as shockingly more than they would have thought. Again, I believe that this stems from the prevalence of cheaper digital night vision that they've had experience with before, such as the old camcorders that we've already touched on. Most people who dwell on this level of the iceberg will probably not even consider the differences between digital and analog night vision, or that you're probably talking about head-mounted Gen 3 night vision when speaking about modern and higher-end units. This pricing misconception may also be perpetuated by our next iceberg item. I'm sure we all remember and have experience with these kids' spy toys, or in other words, the cheap toys that are included in video game packages such as Call of Duty, or even the ones that you could have found back when you were a kid looking in the toy aisle of your local stores. These toys are generally extremely cheap, not durable, have a very short battery life, and don't work well to begin with. They are technically digital night vision though, but they are a particularly crude example of which and are strictly designed for kids looking to roleplay as a soldier or spy for a few minutes. Though we as adults may not have much to gain from experiencing these devices, they are definitely worth mentioning due to them being many people's first experience with night vision as children and reminding us that we even found night vision cool at a young age. Lastly, for this uppermost layer, we have ghost hunting. As you've no doubt made the connection, this layer of the iceberg depicts many ways in which night vision has been experienced in the mainstream and ways that night vision has become known by the masses. Ghost hunting is another one of these medias where ghost hunters visit allegedly haunted locations at night and use night vision capable cameras to record supposed evidence of paranormal activity. In fact, I even have a ghost hunting video, which I'll link below. It's believed by some of the millions of viewers of these TV shows that night vision cameras can see spirits or ghosts, even when they can't be seen with the naked eye. Now entering the subsurface of the iceberg, we can delve deeper into the revelations relating to cost of night vision to those who dare to dwell in this level. Considering Gen 3 analog devices even at an entry level easily reach into the thousands of dollars for the unit alone without any peripherals, it's no mystery why some people choose to never go deeper into night vision than this, though I recommend going deeper. Keep in mind that this expensive cost is also generally only for a monocular, meaning night vision for one eye. Prepare to double the cost or more if you desire night vision over both eyes. As an example, I paid well over $4,000 for my night vision, but keep in mind that it did come as a kit with quite a few extras. Spending this level of money is not even necessary to have fun in the dark, but to some people it's considered child's play. One of the more expensive night vision setups that someone at this level in the iceberg may be familiar with are GPNVGs, which cost a staggering $40,000 plus. One thing that you'd hope to not worry about with your new $40,000 night vision is our next iceberg entry, black spots and blims. Most amateurs wouldn't expect either black spots or blims, thinking that the tubes are always perfect, but going even deeper than that, many people who even own and use night vision regularly tend to use the terms blims and black spots interchangeably, though they really aren't the same. Black spots are factory imperfections from the manufacturing process and typically look like small flakes of pepper in the image. This is not the same as blims, which appear as black smudges and are a sign of damage to the image intensifier, through something like the unit being dropped or exposed to intense light such as a laser or the sun. Going deeper, we now have a couple of iceberg items that typically come from people who have a little bit of experience behind night vision. Manual focus is listed here because many people don't consider how the average night vision device can only be focused to one distance at a time, and this is not done automatically. New users may be so used to much cheaper electronics, which feature autofocusing technology, and they find the focusing process difficult on high-end night vision and spend a lot of time manually adjusting their device, when more comfortable users will tend to just find one adjustment that generally keeps the area in focus, and then they just deal with the blurry objects in their view unless absolutely necessary to adjust them into focus. Depth perception is another iceberg entry, and it's definitely one that most of us have heard, though it's no myth that, especially with only using a night vision monocular, but even with goggles, your depth perception is dampened. This all being true, I still sometimes feel like people exaggerate and borderline think that you can't tell a difference between your hand sticking out in front of you versus a tree 100 yards away by the way that they describe night vision depth perception. I'm of the opinion that the best way to walk with night vision is to just look ahead and memorize the terrain before you navigate over it rather than looking down at your feet all the time, but hey, we've all missed a hole and found ourselves comically stumbling around once or twice. Both of our previous iceberg entries connect with our next one, which is military experience. I'd like to clarify that I'm obviously not talking here about special operations professionals who have top tier devices given to them and immense training. I'm talking about the average military man who served a few years and got their hands on a night vision unit such as a PVS 14 a handful of times. There are two veterans that I work with on a daily basis, and I've heard both of them talk about troubles with night vision depth perception and manual focus. I decided to include this on the iceberg because I feel like there are thousands of veterans out there whose only experience with night vision was a few times handling a poorly maintained unit under stressful environments and without a lot of training. I've heard stories of servicemen who weren't even familiar with the basic controls of a PVS 14, such as adjusting the diopter to their eye for better clarity. More than anything, I just find this to be a fascinating aspect about night vision, and both attests to the awesome ability for these military members to adapt to these devices and conditions, but also speaks for the devices themselves that deal with hardcore conditions and people who may not know basics about night vision, such as care requirements or do's and don'ts. Next up on the iceberg, we have single, dual, and quad tube night vision. I'm of the belief that most people think of night vision goggles or dual tubes when thinking of a device, so I suppose the real discovery for most people on this level of the iceberg is that there are people who use night vision with one eye, and also night vision that has a whopping 4 tubes, almost wondering why you would need more tubes than you have eyes to begin with. Of course, single tube night vision is cheaper, but it's also a lighter weight way to see in the dark. It's generally easier to work on and acquire, and does have some advantages from having one eye that is still exposed to the natural environment, while the other is under night vision. Quad tube night vision, besides the shocking price tag and awesome aesthetic, gives an extremely unique viewing experience with a much wider field of view than the other night vision setups. With our next iceberg entry, we now get to talk about specs. This is as deep as it is on the iceberg because many people who venture this far down are quite possibly actively searching for night vision to purchase. Researching night vision tube specs can quickly become overwhelming, but honestly, the people who seem to know the most about specs generally admit that an amateur would be hard-pressed to distinguish between many of the numbers, and they say not to take some of them too seriously and just use what you can get. Generally speaking, the more you pay, the better product you'll get, and this is no different with night vision. Some important specs that most people look at are halo, SNR, and yes, even spots. Halo is a specification that describes the intensity of the bloom you see when looking at lights through your device. SNR is essentially telling you how much noise your tube creates when forming an image, and though we already discussed black spots, we haven't yet touched on the zone chart that is typically referred to when looking at tube specs. This chart depicts 3 different zones in the night vision tube's image, and any sizable spots have to be noted as well as which zone they are in. There is Zone 1, which is the center of the image, then Zone 2, which is a larger area outside the center of your view, and then Zone 3, which is nearly the outermost edge of your view. Having a spec sheet included with your purchase is almost always going to be desirable, and it's not recommended buying a unit without one. Lastly, for this level of the iceberg, we have white phosphor, being another discovery that some people make when they're looking to purchase night vision and actively in the search phase of that process. This goes right back to the surface level iceberg entry that most people believe night vision is only green. Now you've come to find that many high-end night vision devices are actually white phosphor, and not only that, but the actual image itself through a white phosphor tube is more of a blue-white than a pure white color. It's said that white phosphor offers more comfort to the eye when viewing for extremely long sessions through your tube. Honestly, you'll probably be satisfied with whatever option is available to you, and this choice likely comes down to personal preference, but you'll notice that many people who are into night vision are now running white phosphor without ever having experience behind green phosphor. Now we are entering the darkest and deepest depths of the iceberg, where few people ever have the honor or insanity to venture into. These items are usually encountered by those who have a lot of experience with night vision and who have possibly even owned multiple devices and are starting to play around with all things night vision as a hobby or professionally. First up is night vision housings. PVS, PVS31, RNVG, BNVD, DTNVG, Katana, PVS15, Anvis 10s. Overwhelmed yet? These are all different housings that you can acquire night vision in the form of, and each one has its own quirks that would require a dedicated video to get into the details of. Needless to say, you can be just as choosy about which night vision housing you want as you are picky about which exact tube you want. Science/how it works is at the bottom of the iceberg for a very obvious reason. The process of manufacturing a night vision device is as impressive as it is complicated, and it's extremely impressive both in the form of its components and the technology itself. In general, a night vision device consists of a housing, optics, an image intensification tube, a photocathode, a microchannel plate, and a phosphor screen. Technically speaking though, the manufacturing process is mind-blowing for many reasons, but here is just one example. The photocathode is a piece of glass about 5 millimeters thick, which has a silicone nitride coating on one side and 5 micron thick gallium arsenide crystal grown on the other, which then has a 1 to 2 micron thick layer of zinc infused gallium arsenide on top of that before a 1 atom thick layer of cesium oxide is laid over that to act as a light filter. Ultimately, there's a ton more in the awesome process of creating a night vision device, but the simplified version for this video is that they obviously just use magic to multiply light that enters the tube. Related tech is our next iceberg entry and exists at this level because this is for the true enthusiast who has money to spend. The main piece of related technology that we will discuss is thermal overlay technology. This is a great way to go if you'd like to double the cost of your night vision tube but add a thermal image to it. The most popular devices that I see people use are clip-ons that directly attach to your device. As an extra in this category, I'll also mention helmet setups and how in-depth people can go with them. I even saw a helmet-mounted solar panel to charge battery packs at the latest SHOT Show. There's just about as many ways to customize your helmets as there are ways to customize the rest of your night vision experience. Along this same vein, we have one of our last iceberg entries, which is accessories in general. Going back to the alleged problem of manual focus with night vision devices, one accessory is an iris attachment for your night vision. These products increase your depth of field by constricting the iris, and this is done at the sacrifice of light. Some other attachments are mission recorders to record in POV whatever you're seeing, a compass, and a magnifier. Though these all have their uses, they exist this low on the iceberg due to their very specific uses, and considering how most people who even own night vision don't necessarily ever find themselves needing or even knowing of them. Our second to last iceberg item is NIR, or Near Infrared Compliance. This is so deep on the iceberg because the person who is interested in NIR compliance is someone who is now searching not just about night vision, but about how to avoid being detected by other people with night vision. NIR compliance is a somewhat controversial topic, but ultimately refers to a rating that some clothing has where it will keep its effective camouflage pattern and non-reflective features that should in theory match its environment, even when viewed by modern night vision. I say that this can be controversial because there are a lot of people who say that this level of concern is unwarranted, but hey, that's why it's so deep on the iceberg. There is a lot of research around NIR compliance, and simple things such as the detergent that you wash your clothes with can dramatically affect your clothing when viewed under night vision. Now we have officially and finally reached the very bottom of the iceberg. This item is simply described as the word possibilities. This is for the person who goes deeper beyond most who may have interest in night vision. This person may not abide by the commonly touted tropes relative to night vision, such as it only being for running and gunning and kicking indoors. This person has done some research, but really prefers learning from experience and pushing night vision to new and fun limits. Possibilities refers to the realization that night vision has no rules. Do you feel like going on a bike ride? You'll do it under night vision. Do you feel like performing a workout? Do it under night vision. Do you feel like fishing? You're going to do that under night vision as well. Looking for a fun way to spend the night with family? Night vision. Taking your dog potty? Night vision. The list really goes on. Once you've reached the bottom of the iceberg, night vision has become such a part of your life that it's no longer a superpower. It's just how you see when you're awake at night. Is night vision a fantastic tool for tactical applications, prepping, and outdoor activities? Absolutely. This person has realized, though, that beyond everything else, night vision is an experience, and whether you have a digital or analog night vision budget, you can enjoy this experience. Thank you very much for listening to this iceberg. Please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe, most importantly, share, and always remember, don't have a good day, have a good night.